and welcome. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET Now with me, Snehisha, and with me as always is Ankita Saxena. This is a show where we're going to be taking you through all the big winners and losers in today's trade, tell you what's making them a buzz, and we'll be doing this in under a minute. Also, we're getting you some expert technical takes coming in on a set of stocks as well. So let's get started. Before we do that, Ankita, let's take a look at what the markets are doing, and it's turning out to be a rather somber day of trade for the markets, not really reflecting that festive cheer.
Absolutely, Snehi. In fact, as we speak, if you look at the bottom of the screen, rupee hits a fresh record low versus the dollar at 84 rupees. So not a very festive cheer, not festive cheer on the markets at least. In fact, like I mentioned, Nifty was seeing a one-way fall. No dips were getting into bought into, but it has managed to recover a bit, like albeit very marginally. It's still trading with cuts of 135 points as far as Nifty Bank is concerned. Again, it is trading with cuts of almost 420 odd points right now. In the broader markets, though, Nifty small cap is managing to give a little bit of an outperformance to mid cap and the benchmark indices. It's trading with gains of 0.5%. And if you look at the names on Nifty that are on Nifty small cap that are really pulling up the index, it's Redington with PPL Pharma. JWL, they're doing pretty well. In fact, they're trading with gains of more than 6% right now and really pulling up the small cap index. But sectorally, all the sectoral indices are in the red except for Nifty Pharma, which is really bucking the trend. And of course, that is being picked up by Cipla, on the back of the US FDA that has granted it, the Goa facility a voluntary action indicated status. And on the back of that, Cipla is soaring away 10%. In fact, all the Nifty Pharma counters are trading in the green. They are all trading in the green. And Nifty Media and Nifty Energy are marginally in the green, but nonetheless they are pretty flattish, but managing to hold on to the green. Nifty IT is really reeling under a lot of selling pressure. All its constituents are trading in the red. Persistent, TechM, Emphasis, LTTS, all of them trading with cuts of almost 4%. So largely, as Snehi mentioned, a somber day of trades coming in. Of course, it's the expiry day also. The global cues have been weak and the FIIs continue to sell. So not a very good setup for the market either, Snehi.
Absolutely, looking rather somber like we said earlier. But on that note, let me bring on board our technical expert for today, Arpit Beriwal, Manager of Derivatives, Analyst, Equity Research at Motilal Oswal Financial Services, and from our research team, Gaurav joins us on the show today. Thank you both of you so much for joining us on the show. But on that note, Arpit, let's start the show with your stock today. Your first stock that you want to discuss is ICICI Bank. Now, fundamentally, the stock is looking very strong. Good set of numbers coming in for quarter two. The stock also has run up quite a bit. Tell us what's the technical take looking like, and on the charts, what kind of strength do you see building for the stock, if at all, or are you penciling in some slowdown now?
Very good afternoon. Wishing you all a very happy and a prosperous new year to the entire ET Now team. We're now talking about ICICI Bank. If you see, overall banking stocks has been quite resilient in this last couple of weeks. If you see the broader market has been under pressure, but banking index, and within that, ICICI Bank has been the huge outperformer. And if you see post the outcome of its quarter numbers, technically also is the strongest counter within the private banks and trading near life high territories. So all in all, from a setup wise, we are quite bullish in this counter. Technically, the stock has given a range breakout above 1270 to 1280 zones after almost 50-20 days. It is holding at higher levels, and in spite of market weakness, but the stock is quite strong. So from a monthly and weekly perspective, the positional upside is continued likely to be seen. On immediate basis, it has formed a strong base near 1270 to 1260 zones. So that will likely to act as a strong base, and slowly, gradually we can expect a good move towards 1340, 1360 levels. So within the private bank space, ICICI Bank would be a top pick. One can go long at current levels or minor dip in between 1290 to 1300 with keeping stop loss of 1260 for an upside move towards 1360 levels.
Alright, moving on then to the next counter that is in focus today, and that is Biocon. Biocon is also an earnings candidate, and in fact this stock took a hit, beating of almost 5.5% in the early trade, bogged down by the company's dismal quarterly show as the net profit took a nosedive in the July to September quarter. The drug maker's net profit plunged 84% on a year-on-year basis in quarter 2 to 27 crores, sharply down from 172 crores that it reported in the same quarter in the previous fiscal. fiscal. And the operational performance also deteriorated as the EBITDA margin squeezed to 19% in quarter 2, down from 21% in the same period last year. And despite the weak bottom line and operational performance, the company's revenue rose 4% to 3,590 crore rupees as against 3,462 crores in the year-ago period. Goldman Sachs has maintained a buy on the counter, rating Biocon with a price target of 350 rupees per share. And they've noted that the drug makers' margins have surprised negatively, primarily due to the lower gross margins and the operating leverage. But nonetheless, Goldman Sachs is maintaining a buy on Biocon. But due to a poor show of results, Biocon is reeling under pressure. Right now, trading with cuts of 2%.
Okay, well, Biocon under pressure. Let's also highlight another stock that's been reeling under some deep pressure today. And Gaurav, you've picked out AB Capital. Tell us what's been hurting the stock so much in today's trade and run us through what's the reason exactly.
Well, yes. When we talk about AB Capital, yesterday we saw the stock went up almost by 5% after the results, because when we talk about profitability, there we saw a huge beat up from what we had seen from brokerages. But other than that, if we look at the numbers carefully, PAT beat was more likely driven by the lower credit cost that we saw in this quarter. What we have seen is that when we talk about the growth for the company, that was partially offset by the decline in net interest margins. Now, net interest margins have gone down almost by 28 basis points on a sequential basis. Other than that, when we talk about credit cost, that went down because of the decline in PCR ratio in this quarter, because when we talk about the PCR ratio, that has declined almost by 350 basis points to 46%. Lastly, when we talk about ABSLI performance, which is Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance, there we saw some kind of disappointment because margins have continued to decline. When we talk about VNB growth, that has declined almost by 28%, and when we talk about margins also, there also we saw some kind of sluggish view. Now, management has said that margins will be achieved in the range of 17 to 18%, but that is something which is hurting the stock right now. The stock is down almost 6%, so definitely watching out on discounters in coming days.
Alright, moving on, coming to you, Arpit. JSW Steel is the name that you have picked out for us, and this counter hasn't really done much in the last 6 months. In fact, in the last 1 month, as I can see, this counter has been in a consolidation mode. Do you see a breakout now?
If you talk about overall metal pack, as market has corrected from its life highs in the October series almost 7%, likewise we have seen a decent correction across all the sectoral indices. So if you see from a metal index, however, this counter has rebounded in last couple of days. So if you see the monthly structure, the trend is strong. On the weekly scale, if you see, it is moving in a rising channel and it has taken exactly support. It's near around its rising trend line support around 880, 870 levels. On daily scale, post the outcome of result, it has rebounded sharply from its 200 DEMA. And in spite of market weakness and choppiness, the stock is holding well. So the stock has retested its previous breakout zone, and on the weekly scale, it is from a strong bullish candle. So risk reward is quite favorable at current junction because the stock is corrected from 1060 levels. So one can go long from a medium term perspective also within the metal pack at JSW Steel, with keeping stop loss of 910 for an upside move towards 1020 and then 1050.
Those are the levels that Arpit is spotting out for JSW Steel. On that note, let's talk about a high flyer in today's trade, and that is Cipla. Now, Ankita mentioned why the stock has been doing well. Just to sum it up, US FDA has granted its Goa facility a voluntary action indicated. The company's Goa facility was inspected by the US drug regulator in June this year, after which 6 observations were issued. And now that status has been upgraded to a VAI. Now, this clearance from the US FDA will now be a key for Cipla's new launches, such as the Abraxane generic drug, which is a chemotherapy drug used to treat cancer. We have a whole host of brokerage reactions coming in on it, a lot of cheer coming in from the brokerages as well. JP Morgan says that the Goa plant clearance paves way for the G Abraxane launch, and they now expect it to get launched much sooner than the earlier guidance of Q4 FY25. Kotak says that this is an unexpected positive surprise coming in, and they now bake in the launch of this drug in Q4 itself, and this is going to be an interesting opportunity over the near to medium term. Incred believes that the early launch of G-Abraxane is likely. MK says that this VAI classification removes a key regulatory overhang on Cipla, and Investec also say they've initiated a long fast tactical buy, and they say that this is the least expected result by the street. And they expect the stock to bounce back sharply after this roughly 18% correction that the stock has seen in the last 3 weeks. So, well, a positive news flow coming in for Cipla. That stock has been a high flyer today.
Alright, Cipla flying high in the trade today. In fact, it is holding up the Nifty Pharma Index and is the top sectoral, which is the top sectoral gainer for today. But coming to you, Gaurav, OMCs you have picked out for us. Tell us what makes you pick the OMC pack.
Well, yes. OMCs are under pressure, and OMCs are actually in focus, and the reason being that DAM Capital is being a little bullish on this counter. What we are seeing is that they are being bullish on all the OMCs. For IOCL, BPCL and HPCL, they have initiated with buy rating. So for IOCL, they have given a target price of 181 rupees. For BPCL, they have given a target price of 395 rupees. And for HPCL, what they are saying is that that can achieve a target price of around 440 rupees. And what is the rationale behind this is that they believe that there is a significant improvement which we will see in the refining environment overall in the coming quarters. At the same time, what they are also saying is that the marketing margins, which is actually a very important thing for them, is will continue to rise in a steady phase. At the same time, they also say that the LPG losses are set for reimbursement from the government, and that is one of the key push which will come for the companies. And lastly, there is a risk of significant increase in oil price which was there. Now they believe that this risk is lower in terms of the overall environment that we are seeing globally, and that is the reason why they are being a little bullish on OMCs. As a result, when we talk about the stock performance also, HPCL is a little up, but we are seeing some kind of pressure on BPCL. But all in all, a bullish view coming up from DAM Capital, and on the back of this, we will be watching out on the OMCs.
So brokerage note is the reason why OMCs are in focus today. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break on this edition of Market Fatafat and keep it going with all the stocks just on the other side of this very short break. So you stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Market Fatafat, where we are taking you through all the stocks that are in focus today, either on the back of news flow or on the back of technicals. Arpit, coming to you, you picked out a PSU banking name for us. SBI is on your radar. Tell us why have you picked out SBI? This counter hasn't really moved much in the last 6 months. In fact, it has started slowly picking up in the last 1 month, almost 4%. Tell us what is the upside? Where do you see the stock headed?
So overall, if you see, overall banking space has been quite resilient in this market fall. And if you talk about PSU space, as rightly mentioned, in last 3 months, it has broader been in a range in between 760 to on the upper one with 850 range. But in last couple of sessions, as you've seen some uptake in the PSU stocks ahead of its results also. So it has formed a strong base double bottom pattern on daily scale near 777-80 levels, and we have seen a good move in last couple of sessions. So on the weekly scale, it has formed a strong base near 780-790 zones, while on the upside, the breakout level is above 795-800 zones, and it is holding well. So I think going forward, the risk reward is quite favorable. Slowly, steadily, we can see an up move towards 835-850 levels in coming session. So SBI would be a preferred pick within the PSU pack. Technically, one can go along at current levels or minor dip in between 810 to 815 levels, with keeping stop loss of 780 for an upside move towards 860 zones.
Alright, that is SBI on the charts, but moving on then to another counter that is in focus today, and that is Tata Power. Now, share of Tata Power's rallied almost 3% after the company reported a net profit of 1,533 crores for the September quarter, now compared to 1,017 crores in the same quarter last year. Now, this represents a 51% year-on-year increase. Meanwhile, the revenue from the operations fell 1% on a year-on-year basis to 15,247 crores, and the consolidated EBITDA for the quarter rose 23% to 3,800 crores, driven by the increased solar manufacturing, favorable regulatory developments, and on the back of a decent set of results coming in for Tata Power, the stock is up almost 3.3% in trade.
Okay, so that's Tata Power on the back of some fundamental news flow. But Arpit, you also picked out Tata Power on the charts. Tell us what levels are you spotting for this stock, and do you believe that the momentum that we've seen on the stock will continue on the charts as well?
If you look at the overall Tata Power, mid-cap index has seen a decent correction in last month itself. But however, if we see from the Tata Power technically structure-wise, in more or less almost from last 6 months, it has been trading in a broader range in between 400 to 480 levels. On the daily scale, it is finding multiple support near its 50 DEMA, and it has formed a strong base near 410, 415 levels. So I think overall from a chart perspective, the downside is protected as multiple buying level is seen near 415, 410 levels. On the upside, the major hurdle is around 475, 480 levels. So I think all in all, the risk reward is favorable because you have to play within this band. It has formed a strong base near 415 levels. That would be a major support zone. On the upside, the hurdle would be around 475, 480 levels. So technically, it is holding well, and within the power space, it's quite strong. So Tata Power, our bias would be positive for an upside move toward 475, 485 zones.
Positive bias coming in on Tata Power, and those are the levels to watch out for. But let's move on. Talk about a stock that was in pressure earlier in the day today, and it's on the back of the numbers coming in for Q2, and that is Dabur. Now, overall, it's been a muted set of numbers, but that's largely what we were penciling in at ET now anyway. The revenue on the consolidated basis is down 5.5%, in line with what we were expecting. Net profit, however, has fallen 17.5%, so that's a big miss because we were expecting this revenue drop to be much lesser than what it actually is. EBITDA is down by 16.4%. EBITDA margins have also contracted to 18.2% compared to 20.6% this time last year. The FMCG business has seen a 7.6% volume drop. We were expecting this number to be closer to 8. International business has grown at 13% in the constant currency terms, which is in line with our expectations. You also have volume drop for home and personal care, healthcare, as well as food and beverages. The management has pointed out monsoon as well as a slowdown in urban consumption to be the overall reason why it's been a miss on the top line this time, and also the correction that they've taken in the general trade channel has affected these numbers. But quickly, let's take out the brokerage reaction on this and what brokerages are making of these numbers. Goldman Sachs has maintained a neutral rating with a target price of 580 rupees per share. They say that even if you remove the adjustment of the trade correction, the inventory correction in the general trade channel, the numbers have been disappointing even if you disaccount what has happened on that front. So that's the note coming in from Goldman Sachs, maintained a neutral rating with a target price of 850 rupees per share.
All right, that is Dabur. But moving on to Arpit, coming to you, Oberoi Realty on the charts. Last 6 months, good gains coming in. In fact, in the last 1 month, it has given almost 4% gains. But do you think this stock is heading towards its 52-week high? Is it closer to that? What is the upside?
If you talk about the realty space, this counter has been a standout outperformer within the realty pack. If you see technically on the monthly scale, it gave a range breakout after almost 4 months above 1850 levels, and on the weekly scale, it has retested its zones. So if you see from the charts perspective, last week, couple of weeks, we've seen a corrective move from 2050 levels to 1900 levels. However, in the daily scale, it is consolidating from almost last 7 to 8 sessions. So it has formed a strong base near 870, 880 zones. That was the previous hurdle zone on the monthly scale. So that is likely to be act as a major support zone. And as soon as we see some follow-up buying in the reality space, this stock is likely to head towards its new life highs towards 2050, 2100 levels. From a positional perspective, good 10 to 12% rally can be seen from current levels. With keeping stop loss of 1880, we can expect a movement towards 2050 and then 2100 zones.
Okay, so those are the levels to be spotted on Oberoi Realty. Gaurav, coming to you now. You've picked out a bunch of stocks from the steel pack there in focus today, and this is also on the back of a brokerage note, I believe.
Well, yes. When we talk about the steel segment, once again, DAM Capital is being a little bullish on this segment. They have initiated on a few companies. So we have got JSPL, where they have initiated with buy rating and a target price of 1300 rupees. On JSW Steel, they have given a target price of 1255 rupees. For Tata Steel, they believe that the target price of 185 rupees can be achievable. And for SAIL also, they have initiated with buy rating and a target price of 130 rupees. And why they are being bullish on these counters? The reason being that when we talk about the macro environment, they believe that it is actually changing and it is in a positive way. When we talk about China's spreads, the China steel spreads are actually falling, and this will also lead their mills to slow down the supply discipline, and that is the reason why they are being bullish on the Indian counters. They believe that the capacity expansion will actually help Indian companies, and at the same time, Indian companies are at a much better place than it was earlier. At the same time, when we talk about the protectionism that India is following, so they have got some duties imposed on Chinese steel, and that is the reason why they are believing that this is going to be a positive thing for Indian steel companies. And at the same time, they also believe that India could be a major growth driver for steel demand in coming quarters, and as a result, they are being bullish on these counters. When we talk about the stock performance, it is a little under pressure today, but definitely watching out of these counters on the back of the brokerage note and a very bullish note coming up from DAM Capital.
All right, with that, we have come to an end of the show. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Arpit, for taking the time out and joining us. Before we wrap up this show, we'll leave you with as we are gearing up for Mahura trading this Diwali, let's go across and hear out what makes this trading session so special and how is it steeped in auspiciousness. We also spoke to none other than Sundararaman Ramamurthy, who's the MD and CEO of BSE. Let's go across and listen in to what he had to say.
You know, been in television from 20 years now. I always had the pleasure and honor of doing Muhurat trading on this floor of Bombay Stock Exchange. What is Muhurat trading? Why there is a fixed time? Why does exchange trade that time? Is there a science? Is there a philosophy? Or is there convenience behind it?
See, it's not a convenience, I feel, because not till I know of whatever this market is, people have always traded during the Godhuli time. The reason I told
Again,
what is
Godhuli and
Godhuli.
evening matches, yes.
Yeah. So
It's a very well thought time which has been taken out.
typically the Godhuli time, as per the calendar, that's what I have seen in whatever amount of experience, limited experience I have in stock market. They use the Godhuli time to trade because they consider it as the most auspicious. They're starting a new beginning, somewhat. So they want, see, people will all do what they know well when they are starting a new year, right? What traders know well? To trade in the market. And it is an auspicious time. And Godhuli time is one of the most auspicious time, and it is Kritika Amavasya then, and on that day all these things about evil going away, enlightenment we are talking about, and we are talking about prosperity. What traders know is trading. So that's why the significance of Muhurat trading. What does the word Muhurat means? Muhurat is a specific time that you have fixed. What is the specific time that has been all along fixed? Is that Godhuli time. So traditionally this is what I have seen as and this is the reason why people, and in olden days when used to be paper and all, they used to open a new khata. I am sure you would have seen.
भाई खाता जिससे हम बोलते हैं.
And उसको स्वस्तिक वगैरह लगा के पूजन करके उस दिन उसी में पहले लिखेंगे. So these are all practices which have evolved. Some of the practices will lose actual significance because of passage of time, but the sentiment and philosophy behind it will not go away. So here, no, you may not have any paper now. It's all in computer. You cannot put a swastika on a computer and say that, no, I have opened a new account. But of course, you'll close the balance and open a new balance. That's always possible. So that's how it evolves. But the principle and philosophy behind this is this.
You're running a business which is based on technology. It is based on speed. It is based on modern understanding of how internet and other platforms would move. Yet you're highly spiritual, very deeply involved in terms of understanding of scriptures. Is it possible to blend both those things together for a CEO and a managing director?
See, we all carry designations which come and go. Avyakthadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatraka parivedana. That's what Krishna asked Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Where you came from, nobody knows. The past is very unclear. The future is very unclear. You think there is a lot of clarity in the middle. So when the beginning and end are unclear, why are you so worried about what will happen, this, that and all? Do your duty. That's what he says. All these tags, no, CEO and other things, they come and go. I was not born as a CEO. I was born like every other normal human being, and I will also go away like every other human being. The reality is therefore what you are as self, not any of the designations. What is spirituality? It tries to make you to become a complete human being. Why you should become complete? When you talk of perfection, perfection is a state when things are complete, when nothing impacts you adversely, and you are by yourself, and you are always calm, cool, peaceful. When you ask anybody who has everything else which you think are required for him in his life, as to what you would like to have, what we will say? Dukkha nivritti or sukha prapti. These are the two only goals for anybody in life. Look at this. The order is not Sukha Prapti and Dukkha Nivritti. Because Sukha Prapti se Dukkha Nivritti hoga, aisa kuch guarantee hai hi nahi. Because human beings are capable of finding a new area because of which they can be unhappy. Dukh hona hum sab log ye soch ke rakhe ki hamara hak hai. So, कुछ भी नहीं है तो चांदी अगर नीचे गिर जाए तो क्या हो जाएगा करके हम दुखी रहेंगे. So our nature is to remain as dukhi. That's why dukkha nivritti is the first goal and sukha prapti is the next goal. When that is possible, when you are calm, cool, quiet, when that can happen, only when you are complete. What is completion? That is perfection. Is perfection a destination or a journey? It is a journey. So you are a human being. So that is what spirituality is all about. So designations or job does not matter.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.